All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going deep beneath the surface, exploring the world of oceans.
Oceans are pretty amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to find out just how amazing.
I'm excited to dig into this.
Me too. We'll be looking at a document called Geography Why Do Oceans Matter -2 1.pdf. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Patchy title.
I know, right? But don't let that fool ya. This document is packed with info about why oceans are so crucial to the planet and, well, what's putting them at risk these days.
It's like, you think about a trip to the beach and you picture the sun, the sand, maybe even some snorkeling.
Right, total paradise.
But beneath that idyllic surface, there's this whole complex ecosystem that's facing some serious challenges.
And that's what we're going to uncover today.
Yeah, it's easy to forget how much we actually depend on the oceans. It's not just about pretty sunsets, right?
No, not at all.
It's fascinating, really. They're like the planet's circulatory system, influencing everything from weather patterns to trade routes.
Really? It's that far-reaching?
Oh, yeah, even down to the ingredients for medicines we use every day.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. It really is a whole interconnected system.
It really is.
I saw this documentary recently, actually, about a coastal community that gets, like, almost all their protein from the ocean. It was pretty eye-opening.
Absolutely, yeah. Oceans are such a vital food source for so many people around the world. It's essential, really.
Totally.
And that brings us to, one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet, coral reefs.
Oh, yeah, coral reefs. Everyone loves a good coral reef.
They're incredible. The document we're looking at, it mentions that like a quarter of all marine species depend on coral reefs. That's huge.
That is a lot. A
Yeah.
quarter. Wow. So, like, what kind of creatures are we talking about here? Just fish or...
It's so much more than just fish. I mean, think of coral reefs as like underwater cities, right? They're bustling with life, providing food, shelter, breeding grounds. It's all happening.
So, like a whole metropolis down there.
Yeah, exactly. You've got tiny fish finding refuge amongst the coral branches, while bigger predators, sharks and stuff, are drawn to the abundant fish populations that these reefs support.
Wow, it really is this intricate web.
It is. Even sea turtles depend on reefs for food and nesting sites. And the source, it actually defines what a coral reef is, which is interesting. It's not a plant, as some people think.
No.
It's actually a structure built up over time by these tiny animals called polyps.
Huh, that's cool. I always thought it was some kind of plant.
Yeah, it's one of those things people often get mixed up. But these polyps, they're the architects of these incredible underwater cities.
It's amazing. So we've got these, like, bustling underwater cities teeming with life.
Yeah.
But they're facing some pretty serious threats, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
The document mentions things like plastic pollution, climate change, coral bleaching, and overfishing.
Yeah, those are some of the big words.
And they're all kind of interlinked, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. They all contribute to the overall decline of ocean health.
It's a lot to unpack. Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with plastic pollution. It's something we can all relate to, I think. You see it on the beach all the time.
Yeah, sadly.
But the real problem isn't just the visible trash. It's these microplastics, tiny particles you can barely see.
Ah, right. I've heard about those. Like, they end up everywhere, don't they?
They do, and they end up in the food chain, which is a big concern. A lot of it comes from single-use plastics, the things we use every day, bottles, packaging, all that.
It's kind of scary to think about, really. Like, something
is-
so convenient for us can have such a lasting, harmful effect.
Yeah, it really highlights the need for, sustainable alternatives and better waste management.
Totally. But let's move on to another big one, climate change. How did that impact the oceans?
Well, as you probably know, the oceans absorb a lot of the CO2 we release into the atmosphere, which is a good thing in a way because it helps regulate the climate. But
There's always a but.
it leads to ocean acidification.
Acidification, what's that
Well,
exactly?
imagine squeezing lemon juice into a glass of water, right?
Mm.
That's essentially what's happening to the ocean.
Yeah.
It's becoming more acidic because of the absorbed CO2,
Oh, I see.
and that's really bad news for creatures with shells like corals and shellfish. Their shells literally start to dissolve.
Oh, wow. So it's like their homes are being eaten away.
Exactly. It's a pretty dire situation.
That's rough. And then there's coral bleaching, which, I don't know, I always kind of pictured as a sort of underwater ghost town.
That's a pretty accurate image, actually. When corals get stressed by things like warming waters or pollution, they expel the algae that live inside them, which gives them their color.
Oh, right.
So the coral turns white or bleached, and it becomes vulnerable to disease. It's really like a visual indicator of a reef in distress.
So it's like a canary in a coal mine kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's a warning sign that things are out of balance.
Okay, so we've got plastic choking the oceans, acidification dissolving shells, and coral bleaching, basically creating underwater ghost towns. And then, of course, there's overfishing, which I guess we should touch on as well. Is there any good news here?
Well, overfishing, yeah, that's a major problem too. It disrupts entire ecosystems.
It's like pulling on a loose thread and the whole sweater unravels.
Exactly. But the good news is we're not powerless in all this. The document we're looking at, it actually highlights some ways we can help.
Okay, so let's hear it. What can we do?
Well, for starters, reducing our use of single-use plastics. That's a big one.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that. I've actually become kind of obsessed with my reusable water bottle. It's like my trusty sidekick wherever I go.
That's great. Every little effort helps. And when you're buying seafood, look for sustainable options. You know, there are certifications and guides out there that can help you make informed choices.
Yeah, I've seen those labels at the grocery store.
It can be a bit confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature.
So basically, being mindful consumers and spreading the word, right? The more we understand these issues, the better equipped we are to make a difference.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, they say.
They do. And hey, maybe that's our superpower.
Aha, maybe it is.
But seriously, the more we talk about this stuff, the more awareness we raise. And hopefully, that leads to action.
Absolutely. Oh, and the source also mentions something called marine protected areas.
Marine protected areas, what are those?
They're like designated zones where fishing and other activities are restricted to help ecosystems recover.
Oh, interesting. Like underwater national parks?
Yeah, kind of. It's a step in the right direction, for sure. But it makes you wonder, how effective are they really? Are they enough?
That's a good question. And maybe something for our listeners to ponder.
Yeah, exactly. Do some research, see what you find.
So we've learned a lot today, haven't we?
We have. Oceans are incredibly vital, but they're also incredibly vulnerable.
It's kind of mind-blowing. Like what started as a simple thought about a beach trip turned into this deep dive into a complex and interconnected world.
And it's a world we're still learning so much about.
That's the beauty of it, I guess. There's always more to discover.
There is. And the more we understand, the better we can protect it.
Well, that's what these deep dives are all about, right?
Exactly.
We hope you learned something new today and maybe even feel inspired to take action. Who knows? Maybe we'll see you out there making waves, literally, for ocean conservation.
Haha, that's a good one.
All right, until next time, happy exploring, everyone.
See ya.